Hello, welcome back to We the People Politics. Today, we will be making an election prediction map for the 2024 election between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. In this map, we will apply the polling error in the 2020 election to the current polling data for the 2024 election. In determining the polling error, I simply calculated the difference between 538's polling average for November 3rd of 2020 and the actual result in that election. When I do apply the polling error to the current polls, I would mostly be using polling data from this month. And if any state does not have any polling data from this month, then we will use the most recent poll to come from out of that state. As always, we will use polls that both include and exclude third-party candidates, but should any poll have data for both, we will exclude the head-to-head matchup. With all of that information out of the way, let's get predicting. We will first take a look at what the polls predicted in 2020. As you can see, the map is very blue. It has Biden winning the states of Florida, North Carolina, and it also has him winning Maine's 2nd congressional district, despite the fact that Trump went on to win in those places. It also has him winning by large 8-point margins in Wisconsin and Michigan, and he only loses the state of Montana by 4%. However, the actual result was a lot closer, and Biden only ended up winning because of his lead of 0.6% in Wisconsin. On this map, we can see who outperformed the polls in which states and how much they outperformed them. Obviously, Trump mostly outperformed the polls, particularly in the northern desert and prairie states, as well as the Rust Belt states. Biden did manage to outperform in a couple states and districts. However, he never outperformed the polling by more than 3 percentage points. The most accurate region of the country seems to be the Southwest, as California's polling was perfectly accurate, and the other states were off by about 3 points or under, omitting Utah, of course. Now that we have a general overview of the 2020 polling and how it compared to the actual results, we will apply the polling error to the current polls. We will start with the states that will support either candidate by a safe margin of at least 12 percentage points. For President Biden, these states will be California, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. For President Trump, he will carry the states of Alaska, Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska at large and its 1st and 3rd congressional districts, Kansas, Oklahoma, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, South Carolina, and Maine's 2nd congressional district. He will also lead in the closer states of Ohio, Florida, and Texas. With that, Trump has 219 electoral votes to Biden's 81. With the remaining states, we will go from the west to the east, starting with the state of Hawaii, where Biden leads by a margin of 3% due to Trump outperforming the polls by 5% in 2020. A 3-point lead will make Hawaii lean Biden. A lean margin is anywhere between 2 and 5 percentage points. Up in the state of Washington, Biden leads by an average of 12 percentage points. However, seeing as Trump overperformed there by 4 points in 2020, we will say that it is likely Biden. A likely state is determined by a margin of 5 to 12 percentage points. In the state of Oregon, Biden leads the most recent poll by a margin of 11 points, which is reduced to a margin of 6 points when taking the polling error into account, which will make Oregon likely Biden. Over in Nevada, Trump leads the polling average by about a 7-point margin, which will be increased to 10-point margin due to Trump overperforming the polls there by 3 points in 2020, meaning that Nevada will be likely Trump. The most recent polling out of Arizona has Trump leading by just under a 5-point margin, which increases to a 7-point margin as Trump overperformed there by 2 points in 2020, making it likely Trump. Biden's lead in New Mexico will drop down to 7 percentage points as he overperformed by 1 point 4 years ago, making New Mexico likely Biden. Biden also leads in Colorado, except his lead of 10% will actually increase by 1%, bringing his lead to 11 points and a likely margin. Biden will also overperform in Nebraska's 2nd congressional district and will lower Trump's current lead from 3 to 1%, therefore making it tilt Trump. A tilt state is determined by a margin of 2 percentage points or under. Biden leads in Minnesota by a 1-point margin. However, it flips to a Trump lead of 1 point when taking the polling error into account, making it also tilt Trump. The polls are currently tied in Wisconsin. However, Trump easily takes the state as he overperformed the polls by 8% last time. So we would say that Wisconsin is likely Trump. Illinois is another one of the states where Biden overperformed, and he will increase his 10-point lead from October to 11 points, which will make Illinois likely Biden. Over in Michigan, Trump leads by just under a 1-point margin. That will increase to a 6-point margin, which will make the state of Michigan likely Trump, which will put Trump above the 270 electoral votes he needs to win. Way down in Georgia, Trump currently leads the state by 6%. That will be increased to a 7-point margin according to the 2020 polling error, meaning that Georgia will be likely Trump. Same story in North Carolina, where Trump currently leads by a 5-point margin that is increased to an 8-point margin, making North Carolina also likely Trump. Moving up to Virginia, Biden leads by a close margin of 3% in his most recent poll. That margin narrows further to a 1-point margin, which will make Virginia tilt Biden. Trump is leading in the state of Pennsylvania by a 2-point average. That will increase to a 6-point average, making Pennsylvania likely Trump. The only polls that we have in Delaware are head-to-head matchups between RFK Jr. and either Trump or Biden, unfortunately. So what we will have to do for this scenario is simply calculate the difference between the margins, which will produce a Biden lead of 10%. If we apply the polling error to that result, Delaware will be Biden plus 5, meaning that it will barely be likely Biden. In the state of New Jersey, where Trump just held one of the largest campaign rallies in U.S. history, Biden leads by only 5% in a March Emerson College poll, which is reduced to a 1-point lead with the polling error, making New Jersey tilt Biden. Up in New York, Biden leads by a 14-point average in recent polling. That will be reduced to an 8-point average, making Trump's home state likely Biden. Over in Connecticut, Biden leads in an October Emerson College poll by a 9-point margin. Trump overperformed there by 6 points in 2020, so we would say that Biden takes it by a 3-point margin, making Connecticut lean Biden. In the neighboring state of Rhode Island, Biden's lead of 19 points shrinks to only 9 points, as Trump overperformed there by 10 points in 2020, meaning that Rhode Island will be likely Biden. New polling out of New Hampshire shows a close race for the Granite State, as the polling average has Biden leading by a 3-point margin. However, since Trump overperformed here by 4 points in 2020, we will say that it is tilt Trump. In Maine, Trump currently leads the at-large vote by 6 percentage points, while Biden leads in the 1st district by 8. Seeing as Biden overperformed in the 1st district by 3 points in 2020, we would say that he wins it by 11%, making it likely Biden. Trump overperformed in the state at large by 4 points, making it Trump plus 10%, meaning it will be likely Trump. And with that, we conclude this prediction. President Biden with 209 electoral votes, President Trump with 329. Trump would likely expand his current lead if he overperforms the polling by 2020 margins by picking up the state of Minnesota and New Hampshire. What do you think? If you think Biden will overperform the polls or disagree with anything in this video, feel free to comment your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe down below. It would help me out a lot. With all of that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.